Hey there, adventurers. Welcome to my realm. I'm Norwolf, and this will be the first of two videos covering the basic character creation process in Powers Perils, a role-playing game uh, that Avalon Hill Games Company published in 1983. In this session, I will go through the steps in creating a basic warrior type character, generating his characteristics or ability scores, and the various stats and whatnot that come or derived from those characteristics. And then in a following video, I'll do his skill selection along with some basic equipment, essentially completing the build of a character. In future videos, I'll look to cover off the creation of a magic using character, do some sample combats, and potentially do maybe some solo roleplay or some deep dives into some of the Powers and Perils rulebooks, or P&P for short. Anyways, first off, let's take a quick look at the actual box that Powers and Perils came in. Had this probably since it was brand new anyways. The box itself came with 5 books in it. There's the character book that's used for creating characters. Everything except the magic rules and spell descriptions are in here. Book 2 contains the combat and magic, or is called the Combat and Magic book. Of course, it has more detail about how the combat works, detail about the magic system, creating a magic using character, and all the spell descriptions. Book 3 is the creature book. A lot of very interesting and unique creatures in here. Things taken out of past cultural lore and things like that. So, anyways, Book 4 is the Book of Human Encounters and Treasure. So treasure tables, encounter tables, and whatnot can be found in here. And then Book 5, which is least fated of my books, is the County of Mordara. It is one of the counties from the Perilous Lands supplement that came out for Powers and Perils, which is essentially the world that it's mostly based in. I tend to use, in the past, I tended to use my own world creation. I didn't really use Powers and Perils, although I do have it. Or sorry, Perilous Lands, although I do have it. So for this character creation, I'm going to actually avoid using my books and let them essentially retire. And I'm going to be sticking to using the PDFs. Let's see. The character sheet itself that I got in front of me is what you see on the left-hand side of the screen. There's various characteristics. I'm going to assume that the folks watching this video have at least some background in role-playing games. I'm not going to go into describing each of the characteristics in detail or anything like that. But there are strength, stamina, dexterity, agility, intelligence, will, eloquence, empathy, constitution, and appearance. So these skills or characteristics are derived by rolling 2d10 and applying a racial modifier. I'm going to, as I was saying, going to be using PDF versions of the books. Although, if you actually look at the PDF of the originals, the red highlighting that they've used in the book sometimes makes it a little hard to read some of the text in here. So I've got a slightly, somewhat community updated version of the book that has some of the errata updated in it. But this PDF is far easier to read, and yet it's still the original basic rules, or core rules. So, in Powers and Perils, there's no character classes per se. The traditional character classes that you would say find in Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, others like that. So, what you do have in this game is combat experience levels and magic experience levels, and all your skill scores, or all your skills, whether they're combat skills, magic skills, or non-combat skills, all can be incremented individually through use on on their own. So as you use a shield, or as you use a broadsword or something like that, you'll get expertise points in those skills, and eventually those skills go up on their own. As you kill monsters, you'll get combat experience points, and your combat experience level will go up. As you use magic spells and things like that, not only will the spells themselves go up in level, but your overall magic experience level will go up. And so there's a lot of very detailed and individual progression within your character, and even in the characteristics, you'll notice that the character sheet itself has an native ability column, a multiplier, a current ability column, a maximum ability, and then a column for temporary modifiers. So to determine your native abilities, you basically roll 2d10 and add a racial modifier. And then we'll be doing some multipliers after that, and figuring out what the character's maximum abilities can be, and then determining what the current abilities are at. And again, as you gain combat experience or magic experience, you'll be getting ability points to start incrementing your various ability scores. So as you progress your ability scores, some of your combat stats, things like that, can increase. Your hit points can increase. All those kinds of things. So, as as I mentioned in the original introductory video, Powers and Perils is by no means a rules light game, nor is it a rules a light game on tracking and managing your character. But on the flip side, as you get comfortable and familiar with the rules, it gets a lot easier, and it just becomes second nature. I haven't touched this game in probably 10 years, and I am a bit rusty, so I may do some things not 100% right, but generally speaking, I can at least give you the gist of how the character creation for this game works. So with that, I'm not going to dive into the manuals or the books themselves in a lot of detail. They go through how to create a character. They talk about trained magic users and innate magic users. I'll be getting to some separate videos around the magic use side of things. Various abbreviations and dice codes. And then there's your character generation. So the races within this game consist of humans, elves, fairies, and dwarves. Again, a note here is that this game is from the 1980s. It was made in 1983, or published in 1983. So it is 40 years old. So keep that in mind before judging the game, or before, and particularly judging it against current norms. So, some terminology may, some people may not agree with, but, going with the book as it is, the rules are what they are at this point. So, anyways, I'm going to create a human male, basically a basic warrior type. So I'm not going to be too concerned about his non-physical characteristics, and a little bit more concerned about the physical characteristics. And if I see that he's kind of deviating and not looking to be a particularly useful character, I'll either re-roll or scrap scrap the numbers and start again. I'm hoping that the two characters that I create in these demos, or the example sessions here, are ones that I can maybe use for some of the sample combats, and maybe even some solo play later. So it would be helpful to have useful characters. Anyways, you'll notice under the human male, there's various adjustments to the characteristic scores. So, my 2d10 roll will be modified with a +3. So for strength, so let's start with that one. Definitely going to re-roll that. Jeez, he's kind of... All right, got to get a decent roll to start with anyways. Let's go with that, 19. So that'll be a 19 for native. Stamina is unmodified. Jeez, I'm not really impressed with these rolls. All right, let's just stick with 11. Dexterity is going to be -1. Well, there's a decent one. My 18. Agility, -1 as well. It's going to be an 8. This guy's kind of all over the place. Intelligence is going to be, wow, that's horrible. Let's go with the 10. Actually, going to be a 12. Will, no adjustments. It's going to be a 10. Eloquence, it's going to be 12. Empathy is going to be -3, so it's going to be a 7. Constitution, it's going to be fairly important for this guy. It's going to be fairly important for this guy. 12. And appearance, 11. All right. Next up here is working on multipliers. So you'll notice that Constitution and appearance are grayed out here. The difference with these guys is you'll roll separately for these modifiers, and they will determine what these multipliers determine what your maximum ability score is. But for both Constitution and appearance, the current ability score is going to equal the maximum ability score. These start out maxed and don't essentially progress during the gameplay. So let's roll our d10 on for, well, okay, so again, we're rolling twice on this table. The first roll is going to be for Constitution. The second roll is going to be for appearance. So the first roll, that's going to be 9. So we have a 4 times multiplier on Constitution. That's going to be a 48 and a 48 for max. And appearance is going to be a 3 times multiplier. So we've got a 33 and a 33. All right. Next up, the multipliers for the rest of the ability scores. We roll 2d6 and add 14, and that'll be the multipliers that we distribute across the different characteristics. These multipliers have to be at least 1.5 and maximum of 4, and they're incremented in 0.5 increments. So let's see what we get here. We've got a 9, so we've got 23 for multipliers. It's actually quite good. All right. Knowing that we're looking at a fighter type and not so concerned about the rest of the characteristic scores, if I put, let's see, 4 multiplier to each of these, that's going to be 16, leaving us 7 points. Leaves me with 1.5s for the rest of these. One thing you want to consider when applying multipliers, regardless of how many you have, is these multipliers determine what your maximum ability score is going to be. And you want to make sure that your maximum ability score kind of matches up to the bonus table here. So, you know, ability score, a max ability score between 51 and 75 is going to ultimately give you a +3 bonus on that strength or stamina or dexterity or agility. Actually, we already know that our constitution is 48, so we have a +2 constitution bonus. But for the rest of these, you know, if I didn't have 23 points and I was like 19 or 17 points or something like that, I'd be looking at this going, all right, I've got a handy table here. If I apply, you know, if I've got a 19 and I want to make sure that I get maybe a 51, so maybe I'll apply a 3 multiplier there. If I've got an 11, then, you know, maybe I only want to apply a 3 and not necessarily a 4 times multiplier, so I can at least get past that 31 breakpoint to get a +2 bonus eventually. So, you know, like I said, I think I kind of lucked out here with the 23 points. I'm going to do 4s down the line. And that's going to leave me, like I said, with 16, and if I do 1.5s, that's 6. So 22, I have 1 more point to spread across these guys down here. Will is important. Actually, you know what? Let's do 2.5 in will and 1.5 for the rest of these. Let me just double check that. So that's 6, 7, oops. Yeah, 6, 7, 22, 23. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, next up. Going to determine our age and station. So age is a percentile roll. Let's get our percentile dice out here. Hopefully you can see these without a lot of glare. 22. It's going to make him 20 years old. Our station is another percentile roll on the next page here. Be 59. Station 2. Important part here is if you get into the really higher stations, that may affect how your character is perceived in the world, or what you can do with your character. But to start out here, the important piece is the coin type. So station 2 has a coin type of 1 silver coin, and that's going to be important here in the next step as we determine how much coinage this fellow starts with. So if I go back up here, so our initial increases, there's points that we will be using to distribute across the next table here, this initial increase table. The points are determined by rolling your age, or adding your age times 2, so that's going to be 40, plus your station, so 42, plus 2d10. Let's get our 2d10 out here. And that's going to be 10, so that's going to be 52. We have, that's why they're scribbling here. So we have 52 points to use here. We have to use a minimum of 5 in each column, up to a maximum of 30. We know that we want and the way I'd approach this initial increase table is if I'm, considering a magic type character, I definitely want a fair number of expertise points because you have to buy the magic skill, which is pretty expensive. If I'm doing just a kind of focusing on just a warrior type, then I'm looking to probably max out or increase the combat experience level, the CEL that this character has. So if I put 15 points in, that'll give me 250 combat experience points, or combat experience level 3. And if I put in 19, I'll have 450, there's a 0 missing there as well, for a combat experience level of 4. So let's go for the gusto here. Let's throw 19 in. That's going to leave us with 33 points for the rest. We have 450 combat experience points and a combat experience level of 4. So used to writing 3s. My test cases all had combat experience level 3. So anyways, 33 points left. So wealth is going to be fairly important for starting out because we're going to have to buy his equipment, and things like armor, the better armor anyways, are definitely not cheap. So kind of thinking I want to put somewhere between maybe 10 to 14 points into the money side of things here. Actually, if I flip over to book 2, oops, let's go to the other book 2. Let's go to this book 2. It's easier to read. And I go down to the equipment table. Oops, no, sorry, not book 2. It is in book 1. I go down to the equipment table. And there it is, equipment. If I'm looking at like banded armor, that's 2 gold coins. So the way the coin system works here is we have brass bits, copper coins, silver coins, and gold coins. There's 10 brass bits make up a silver coin, or I mean a copper coin, 10 copper coins make up a silver coin, and 10 silver and a gold. So, ultimately, if I can get like scale mail, I think would be a good starting armor. Even banded mail, banded ring, something like that. Yeah, probably going with banded ring. So that's going to be 20 silver coins that we're going to need for that. We want a metal helm. There's another 20 silver coins. That's going to be 40 copper coins. Or sorry, that's going to be another, oh, that's 2 silver coins. So that's 22 silver coins. And then we get into weapons. We're going to want maybe a tall war or something like that. I'm not sure I want to go with the scimitar skill, but we'll see. Definitely not going to be able to afford a bastard sword or a great sword. Actually 16 silver coins isn't bad, so maybe we're going to aim for a bastard sword. So if I can get 50, 60 silver coins, maybe 70, I think we'll be doing quite well here. So again, back to the table. So let's go with 14 points in here. We'll go with the 70. I'm going to roll this. So 14 points, that leaves us with 19. That gives us, so the 70 here was multiplied by our starting coin or coin type. So we're getting 70 silver coins. That leaves us with 19 to use between characteristics and expertise. Let's throw, just for sake of ease, 10 points into characteristic points. We have 40 to use here. And 9 into expertise, so we'll have 180 expertise points to use in the next video when I do this guy's skills and equipment. Right. So these 40 points. Again, when we're your current abilities start at your native ability, unless you and then you use these 40 points to bump up some of these points here. So let me fill in the maximums. So 19 times 4 is going to be 76. This is going to be 44. 18 times 4 is going to be 72. 4 times 8, 32. 1.5 times 12, or sorry, 1.5 times 12 is going to be 18, of course. 2.5 times 10 is going to be 25. 1.5 times 12 is going to be 18, and 1.5 times 7 is going to be 11. All right, so we have our max, and now we figure out our currents. So I'd like to be able to get either to 16 or to 31 with these physical characteristics. And with 40 points, let's put our 40 over here. With 40 points, I think I'm going to be able to actually do quite well on these. So to get this guy to 31, we're going to need 12 of those points. That's 28 left. To get this 18 to 31, oops, 31, not 32. 31. We're going to need 13 points here. Jeez, I'm throwing myself off completely. 31, so 13 more points gone. It's going to be 15. And it'd be nice to at least get up to 16 with these guys. So 16 here is going to take 8 more points. Leaves us with 7. And we'll throw that last 7 in here for 18. Fill in the rest of these. 12, 10, 12, 7. All right, our stamina bonus is +2. When I look it up here, or sorry, strength bonus is +2. Our stamina is 18. That's going to give us a +1. Our dex bonus is going to be a +2. And our agility bonus is going to be +1 as well. All right. Next we get into, let's see, got our station. Okay, special events. So special events is you either choose to take them or have them, or you choose not to have them at all. Or your game master may determine whether or not special events are even allowed. But if you choose to have special events, you get 1 per 10 years, round up. So this guy will get to, if he was 21 years old, he'd have 3 special events. And the catch here is you have to take all your special events. You can't stop after 1 or 2 of them. All right, so let's roll our special events and see what we get. And that's on the table on the next page. Right, let's see what we got. We've got a 13, which is a nothing. And we've got that's cocked. Let's try that one again. And a 29. Increase your current ability in 2 characteristics by a d6 plus 2, or 1 characteristic by d10 plus 2. That's an interesting one. I think I'm going to go with the d10 plus 2 against a stamina. what we get here. What dice do I want to use for this? D10 plus 2. 5 points. Oh, that's not quite what I was hoping for, but 25 is better than nothing. Okay, onwards. Following pages have descriptions about all the different special events and special attributes that you can get out of those events. There's some neat stuff in here with supernatural skills or abilities, stuff like that. You get some very heroic, Herculean type characters. You can also get natural magician and some other stuff out of here. Right, using the characteristics. So, as I mentioned before, we've determined what our bonuses are. This tells you what some of the bonuses, some things the bonuses are used for, including like your strength and stamina used for your offensive combat value, your dex and agility used for your defensive combat value, things like that. And then it gets into describing the different characteristics and some of the calculations that those characteristics are used for. So let's start with strength. Portage ability, basically how much your character can carry. So this is your current strength times 2 plus your stamina bonus times 20 or strength times 2, whichever is greater. Some people may end up with a negative stamina bonus, in which case you'll be using just the strength times 2. But here we have a strength bonus of, or sorry, a strength of 31, so that'll give us 62, and a stamina bonus of +1, which gives us a 20, so that's going to be 82 pounds. And that's under portage ability, 82 pounds. There's a skill you can take later on called carrying, which your skill level in carrying gets directly added to your portage ability, and that essentially is representing being able to pack properly and properly distribute the heavy weights as you carry them. So, and probably some stamina and whatever else built into it. In case you're curious, your maximum that your character can lift is 5 times your portage. So in this case, it's 410 for this fellow. So it's quite beefy. And let's see, getting into stamina, it's used for hit points, healing chance, dexterity. It's used for various skills and things, including agility. So dodge is an optional skill or an optional rule in this game. I use it, but it doesn't come into play all that often because you're usually sacrificing your attack for in order to a dodge. Your dodge is equal to your agility bonus and dex bonus. So for this guy, it's going to be +3. Going back to the top here, dodge, dodging magic, dodging weapon or weapons magic, and missile weapons. The Constitution. All right, our healing chance is going to be our Constitution plus our stamina divided by 2, round up. So 48 plus 25 is going to be 73. Yeah, 73 divided by 2. What's that? That's going to be, what, 36 and a half, so 37. So 37%. Right, next up, we're going to damage tolerance value. So this is how many negative hit points you can go to before you die. So again, our Constitution, 48 divided by 20, which is going to be 3 point something, or sorry, 2 point something. Rounded up, that's going to be 3 plus our stamina bonus of +1. So our DTV, or damage tolerance, is going to be -4. I forgot what I said. Next, energy level is Constitution plus Will. So Constitution 48, Will 10, 58. So energy level is used for, so there's things like poisons and certain spells will affect your energy level, and dropping your energy level to 0, I believe you die at 0 as well. So whereas poisons don't affect your hit points necessarily, they do affect your energy level. Next up here is our poison resistance, which is our Constitution bonus plus our stamina bonus. So it's going to be 3 times 2. So our poison resistance is 6. Our mana level, it's a representation of kind of our magic, so to speak, or magic resistance, or how magic affects us, I guess, or how we can affect magic. Particularly important for magic users, but this guy, not necessarily so much. It does play a role in magic defense value, which is your how much you can actually resist magic by. So our mana level is going to be intelligence 12, will 10, so 22 plus empathy 7, 29 divided by 10, which is 2.9, round up, is going to be 3. That's not great. And our MDV, magic defense value, is going to be 3 as well. Since we're not a magic user, our our magic experience level is not being added to our MDV. Anyway, casting ability and whatnot doesn't apply to us since we're not doing magic with this guy. So at this point, anyways, that's not to say that he can't learn magic and do magic in the future. It's just he'll never be particularly good at it. So, as I mentioned, in this game, you're looking at raising your combat experience levels and raising your magic experience levels if you have them, which is a reflection of how well your character fights. It's not necessarily saying you're a fighter or anything like that, but and what really defines your character and what your character's abilities and kind of what your character can do is the skills that he gets and essentially how you want to roleplay him at the end of the day. So like I said, the rest of these don't apply here. So we'll continue on. Our next up here is our hit point value. So how many hit points do we take before we drop? Which is our strength, and this is based on native, or current ability, I mean. So strength, 31, stamina, 25, so 56, plus our constitution, 48, which is 104, and divide that by 4, we end up with 26 hit points, or hit point value. Next is our combat values. So offensive combat value and defensive combat value are determined by, so OCV is your combat experience level plus your strength and stamina bonuses. So 7 for this guy. And defensive combat value, or DCV, is going to be the combat experience level plus agility and stamina bonuses, or agility and dex bonuses. So again, 7 for this guy at this point. Next up is we have height and weight. So our height is based on our native strength plus our native stamina plus our racial factor. So a human male has a base 46. So again, this is native strength and stamina. So this is 30 plus 46 is going to be 76 inches tall. And our weight is determined on the next table down here for humans. So we're 76, we're in this category. We roll D10, and we're heavy set. 3.2 times our weight, which is going to be, and that's rounded up. So that's going to be 243 pounds. He's a hefty guy. Let me just double check that. 76, and what did I say? 3.2 times. Yeah, 243.2, so 244 pounds. 144, didn't do the roundup. Figured something was wrong there. Okay, and basically being at 244 pounds, we need, or this fellow needs 4 food points per day. Which is a fair bit. He's going to have to carry a bit of weight of food around with him. Okay, next up, our movement rate. Humans start at 9. Movement rate is adjusted by their agility bonus +1. So our agility bonus is +1, so it's 2, which gives us a movement rate of 11. Our phase movement rate is breaking that 11 across the 4 phases, so it's going to be 3, 3, 3, 2. If this was say a 10, it'd be 3, 2, 3, 2. If it was a 13, it'd be 4, 3, 3, 3. Again, in book 2, there's a movement rate table that kind of could be used for quick reference if you didn't want to try and figure that out. Let's see what's next here. I think we're kind of basically done for all of our calculations, anyways. So in the next episode of this, the next video, I'll be covering off taking these 180 expertise points and determining what his skills are, and taking the 70 gold coins and, or sorry, 70 silver coins, and looking at purchasing some basic equipment for this guy. So hopefully this has been at least somewhat informative, and look forward to doing the next video. And thanks for joining me, guys. Hopefully you found this interesting. Anyways, again, this may be, like I said, not a rules light system by any means. You probably noticed already there's going to be a fair bit of tracking of points and things like that, so a lot of bookkeeping. But the joy I get out of this is watching the character progress in the different skills and the different abilities, and just watching the how dynamic the character progression actually is. So anyways, if nothing else, maybe there's some ideas that you can garner from Powers and Perils and use to apply in other role-playing games as well. So anyways, thanks for joining me. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Enjoy.